All out. Shit ass.
Alrighty. Welcome everybody to Call of Cthulhu Down Darker Trails with a little bit of Deadlands mixed in, and we are still at the mine, but we're hopefully about ready to move on. So, agenda. Some people need to get back to Coldwater, and we also need to do our proper observances here at the mine. We had a party name. What was the party name?
We did?
Didn't you all come up with some sort of party name? I don't know. Well, if it's not memorable, we'll
Dr. Trout and his lackeys.
somehow I don't think that was it.
And manservants?
Dr. Trout and the Magic Flute.
Don't speak of that.
So what do you all want to do?
I figure Vance will have to ride back to Sweetwater since he made the original setups with our employer there. So I'm going to ride back hard. And I think on the way, I'll keep an eye out for an extra horse.
I believe Chris and I were going to stay behind.
Yeah.
To manage things here.
Don't you have an extra horse?
Well, yeah, there's one that follows me.
No, not that horse. Not that.
Not the demon horse.
The one that's unnatural.
I thought you had I thought you had picked up a spare horse somewhere.
We had picked up a spare horse somewhere.
Yeah, because you did a rotation already once with the horses.
And didn't we take the two horses that we found at work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did
you
we
got
take the? What about the cart too? Sorry to interrupt, Marshall or Keeper. Are we bringing the cart?
You are driving the cart back. Yes.
That's right. I think I'm driving the cart.
Wagon's full of bodies, right?
Yep.
The ones from Coldwater, associated with Coldwater.
The other posse.
The other half of the posse.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sad day.
I wonder what happened to their horses.
They were.
Oh, you did find in the pit horse bits as well.
Oh, they killed the horses? That's just wrong.
What about the dog Rocco? They didn't kill Rocco.
Pretty sure also some of the horses would have naturally have ran off if they weren't tied off, and if they were attacked while on horseback, or even if like they got off, didn't tie off because they were just kind of looking at what was going on, suddenly got attacked, the horses would have eventually ran off.
Sucks to be you. Bye.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All my stuff is there. Yes, it is there. Excellent. Okay. So Chris and Gustav, you're going to stay.
Yep.
In town
/ nearby.
I'm finally going to get the scope on my rifle sighted in.
Yeah, that's true. Vance, perhaps you would want to. I'll take that back. Christian Gustav, you've certainly met Mr. Elks because he was up at the mine now as well. So you all can have any additional conversations with him. You know where to find him in town. And Vance, Walt, and Dr. Trout, I guess you all have to go. Well, okay, you got to retrieve the wagon.
It was on the outskirts of town, though.
Right. Of Aetna.
Yes.
So I guess everybody's going to at least briefly head back to town and then split up. Is that the thought?
Yes.
Okay. You head back, and not too much has changed insofar as busyness and such of the town itself.
The town seems a little calmer, though.
It does actually.
That's a good thing.
Let's see here. I do need, however, let's see, Gustav.
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to roll a scan at a hard level, so it's going to be 50% of your scan.
See,
So you're
scan
looking for-
is 50%, so it'll be at a 25.
25 or lower.
25 or lower. Big dice. 25 or lower. 8.
8.
Hey,
All right.
nice job.
That is.
That's actually a critical, right? Because
So,
it's 10. 10, yeah.
At 50%, yeah.
Nice.
yeah, so that's a very hard success, or extreme. That's the word I was looking for. Extreme success.
All my success is extreme.
All right, let me type to you what you notice here.
Can I share that with the group, or is it for my edification only?
You can decide.
You get to decide after you get to read it.
I am kind of a dick, so
As long as it's not for your fetishification.
everything for my edification.
So that's working.
I think I just invented that word. You heard it first.
Patent pending.
Ooh, no. There we go.
There you go, sir. All right. Kip, Walt, and Dr. Trout, I guess you want to track down the wagon?
Yes.
And
Kip, are you better than at steering teams than me? Because I'm not that great at it, but
I ride a horse.
All right. So, good or bad, I'm driving.
Still above base. Did you actually
Uh,
invest some points beyond just what you automatically get?
I did.
Lloyd, once
Better than
again,
me.
offers that he could drive the wagon.
Sounds good.
Oh, you're in good hands. Uncle Walt's got it.
Okay. If that's how you want it.
Kip's like, well, maybe
Have them
Lloyd
ride
should-
with you, though.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
ride
yeah,
in the
yeah.
wagon with him, but yeah.
with the corpses in the
well,
back.
Lloyd wants to go
corpses
home
don't bother
anyway.
me.
Lloyd's still messed up. He should ride on the.
Well,
Shotgun.
Lloyd has seen enough shit for a lifetime.
Trout, you can ride your own damn horse.
Um,
Paddle horse will do you good.
well, that's probably true, actually. So, okay. You head out, and the wagon is more or less exactly where you left it. And I assume you went to the stables to gather your horses, as well as the horses that were associated with the general store wagon.
Both horses.
Sure. Let's round up all the horses and
As far as you figure at wagon speed along the actual roads, trails, whatever you want to call them, it's about 10 to 12 hour ride back to Coldwater.
And we're not in a hurry.
And you guys took something of a, well, Vance is kind of in a hurry because Vance, do you want to?
We're not cart carrying a bunch of bodies. And with an inexperienced driver, we're not.
Yeah, and
we are not whipping the horse leather on this one.
this is not a open country stagecoach.
Yeah.
Right, that has extra springs and stuff like that. This is just your standard wagon, right? So solid axle, so it is. Yeah. I mean, you're on that sort of springboard thing in the front. That's not so bad, but in the back, you feel every single bump. But Kip, you could certainly. I mean, you have a plethora of horses, so you could go ahead and
Go
ride
faster.
ahead.
Yeah.
If
I figured that's what I would do.
if that is your choice. Okay. So I assume you take some time to proverbially fill up water canteens, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff for the horses and such.
Water bladders.
Yeah. Okay, and so Walt, what you wanted to practice your? Let's do that real quick. Why not? Let's do skill ups.
Oh,
Oh, I totally forgot.
All right.
that's true. It's a change of.
Change of scene.
Mm-hmm.
I marked mine.
So
I
the
like-
object now is to fail.
Right. The object is to fail the ones that you have marked, and then remember to unmark the skill afterwards.
Listen goes nowhere.
All right. Fair enough.
Spot hidden goes nowhere. Well, considering it was 73.
Yeah.
I'll
Can
try.
only hope for so much there.
How much does it go up if we succeed?
Stealth goes nowhere.
Let's see here. It is what, 1d8? Is that right? Does that sound right? I think it's 1d8.
On scan.
Yeah, in pulp it's 1d8.
Ah,
Wow,
28.
that's,
Okay.
That's really high.
So if on the percentage die, if I get 0, 0, 0, is that 0 or is that
That's
100?
100.
That's
That's
100.
100. That means you failed.
That
That
means you failed big time.
spectacularly.
Right. Which
I wanted to do.
for this purpose is a good thing.
Okay.
Yes, you don't want to do that on a sand check.
No.
No. No, you
Zero,
definitely don't want to do
It's, that will not end well.
that. Okay, so Vance, did you have any?
I had one, which was firearms, went
Oh,
up to 83. Everything else stayed the same.
still.
I failed one and made one. So scan goes up 7. Wow, that's good. So scan is 62. That was a good fail.
All right, hold on. 83. Boom. Save. All right, hold on here. Mark, your scan went up?
It's a 62. No other changes.
Wow. Okay.
I rolled a 7. I did not as good as throwing 100 on that, but okay, it worked.
Carl, did you have any?
Scan goes up to 50.
What was?
Scan goes up
Yeah.
to 50.
Sweet.
We're all going to be really observant soon.
Has anyone noticed how fast this is going compared to, say, another game system that we used before? We're already halfway through.
Dr. Trout, did you have any improvements?
Rolling now. Unsurprisingly, medicine did not go up.
Yeah.
However, scan did.
You're a menace.
Wow, 8. So
Oh.
scan went up to D8, right?
Yes.
Scan went up to 53.
53.
I had one more to check. I didn't see it because it was on the left. It's journalism, which unfortunately I succeeded beautifully, so nothing. Now
Alright.
I roll it.
Now
Now I
I know
roll
how
a
to do
6.
this.
Nice.
And Gustav, how'd you do?
So scan goes up 6 to 56.
All right, hold on. Let me. Hold on here. Boop, 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 boop. All right, I gotta dial that back a little bit. Hold on. Carl, what was your scan?
50.
That's That's the new, or it's 53 new.
That's the new.
The new is 50.
hmm
Okay, so yeah, I double.
If you don't want them to go up D8, you can ramp that
Yeah.
back. I mean, it seems like
Well,
scan's going to climb for everybody really fast.
Well, if you
It
make
depends on
it-
how often you plan on having us make rolls.
Well, it's gonna slow down because
Sure.
of the you know, it automatically governs itself, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we're all going to be in the 60s and 70s very quickly.
Yeah. Well, to find hard
right.
stuff,
I just-
you'll have to roll 25.
No problem. I wanted to offer you if you wanted to bring it back. It wouldn't bother me.
Oh, okay. So there. Now, Gustav, how'd you do?
Okay, so scan is up to 56,
Nice.
and natural world is up a whopping 2 to 12.
All right. Well,
Better than a kick in the head.
absolutely.
Depends on the kick.
And unclick everything, obviously, but for you, Gustav, re-click your scan for
Okay.
next time. Okay, cool. All right, updated. Excellent. Um,
It was just that easy.
all right, so back to Mark. Mark,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be doing a riding. Nothing tricky here, right?
It's auto, right? I mean, whatever you call it. The
Drive.
It's drive auto, but really it means drive the crew, right? Whatever.
Hold on
I
here.
put the points in drive auto, even though I know it's not an auto. I thought that was what you said for drive horses. So if you want to change it, that's where I put the points into anyway.
Right. I think that sounds right. I thought there was maybe one other thing here. No, yeah, drive auto. Yeah. So, go ahead and roll that as sort of a general for the journey roll.
Don't stop believing.
I missed it, but only by 6. I rolled a 36. I got
Okay,
a 30.
that's fine. Nothing, you know.
Not a smooth ride though. It's like
Yeah.
Are
That
you
was just
learning?
sort of
Thanks for
general
experimenting
trek.
on us.
Oh, are we still doing chips?
No.
Well,
I'm not gonna blow a chip for something like that.
Okay.
we are doing chips, yes. So whatever chips you have, hold on to them.
Okay.
The chips coming out and chips coming back will slow down an awful lot. Let me put it that way.
So use them wisely.
Use them wisely, although you will occasionally get some.
Okay.
So, Vance, are you quote unquote riding hard to Coldwater?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Okay, that I definitely want.
Riding skill.
Riding, yes.
Let's make sure I don't get thrown off my horse or break its leg.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
An 11. Thank God.
An
Carl
11.
and I are thinking
Okay,
the same
excellent.
way. You could double up on that bad news.
Okay. You're feeling very confident in your ride, and you're concentrating a fair amount on the ride, right?
Yeah.
Of really just what's 50 feet in front of you, coming up, possible twists and turns for the horse, to make sure that the horse and your tethered horse doesn't get caught up in anything, that sort of thing. So you're not going to get a lot of vista checks or anything along those lines, but you're easily doubling the speed, if not tripling the speed, that the doctor and Walt are doing.
They're going a lot slower since they have the wagon.
Coconuts are definitely.
Yeah, you're more sort of a clop, 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 where he's like clop, 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 clop. So let's, for a little while here, focus in on Chris and Gustav. So the rest of the team has left Aetna. What would you like to do in the town?
I think the first thing is go talk to. I don't have my notes up. What's his face?
What's his face?
Good old what's his face. Maybe let the
priest, the saloon owner, the guy that knew things.
Tully Elks.
Mr. Elks
or Miss Pones. Might want to stop by Miss Pones and say you're going to be staying a little bit longer.
That's the second trip. I want to talk to Mr. Elks about getting the crew up to the mine to take care of the bodies in the pit and what he recommends or what he thinks we should do with the pit. I do want to talk to him also about the strange crystals that we found in the scene to see if he recognizes what they are.
All right. You know that he manages the general store. So you all can head to the general store. Yeah. It's about 10:30 in the morning, maybe 11, somewhere in there. So good mental note for the doctor and Walt. You all will be showing up at Coldwater, not in the dead of night, but the saloons will still be running and such, but otherwise the town will largely be. You should expect the town to largely be quiet.
I assumed we we covered the bodies with like a tarp, so I just bounce it around, open to the elements.
Right, and it's you haven't. The odor shouldn't be too bad considering the it's a cattle town.
Rude.
Well,
With the Undertaker, after I had that little tay-to-tay with the Undertaker, he's gonna be like, "Ooh, you brought me some."
I was about to
business."
say, Walt, you get to talk to the Undertaker again.
Yeah, well, I had a way to stare down. That was really cool. Pulling my like, I'm gonna give him a stare down look. And it's like, that was probably my favorite moment of the of Weird West, was succeeding in my stare down with the creepy Undertaker.
I mean, creepy. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him.
He was
This is
not.
misunderstood.
That's right.
He was full on creep mode. Come on.
Okay, so you do indeed find Mr. Elks and who you presume to be Miss Elks in the general store. Does not appear to be particularly busy. When not busy, it's clear that they're doing a certain amount of prep work for taking flour out of the big barrels that it shows up in and making it into more sort of package stuff and all. Sort of prep work of their business. Little ding 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 of the door as you come in. Little, I guess that's classic even for back then.
A little bell.
Mr. Elks looks up.
Morning, Mr. Elks. I may have a couple of moments of your time, if you don't mind, when you have it available.
Certainly. He looks back and says, "Pumpkin, watch over the store again." And he motions you
My
all to.
apologies for making this more of an occurrence than you were probably used to.
He motions for you to come on through the back, and he's heading towards clearly a door that'd step out to the back of the building.
Okay, I'll follow.
Gustav, I assume you follow as well.
Yeah.
And the open store, and in the back is it's not like a patio or anything. There's a fair amount of debris to his business, some broken boxes and such like that. You do notice as you come out the stairs to the left is a cellar door, one of those angled doors that clearly goes to a basement as well. And he steps out and pulls out a little cigarello and lights it up, and all right.
You seem to be the man in the know and in charge here. Would like to talk to you about getting some people up to take care of the bodies up at the mine and the pit. I don't think they should remain there. And that pit is unnatural.
Yeah, I didn't have time to examine the pit specifically. I do recall.
Perhaps here I can actually. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I actually went into the pit just to, identify some of the poor folk that were there. But when I was there, noticed that the walls, they were just unnaturally smooth. They weren't chipped out. It wasn't blown out. It was almost like it was lifted out and then sanded smooth. One of the things we did find is we found this vein of crystal, and I will take the piece of crystal I have out. If there's a table, put it on it. Now, Vance and I, we excavated some of this, and this is where some of the oddity happens. Once we hit it, it was a spark, like it was a flint when we hit it. In the distance, a mournful wail, sort of like, I don't want to say it was the sound of the damned, but it was the sound of like maybe a widow wailing in the distance. Did this a couple of times, and then a large thudding noise came from the mine, and again that high-pitched squeal, then a different sort of noise occurred. Now, we got probably a little too curious for our own good. After the thudding stopped, and we found that something had been ramming or trying to get out through that barrier. The lock of hair had moved off the seal, something rammed into it. Dust at the bottom of the wood kind of confirmed that something had been hitting it. Some of the boards had shifted. Vance saw a bit of blue light down the path, kind of matching the stone that you see here. And then at the very end, a bright blue flash. I think Vance described it as a large bug, human size, with malformed wings. Then another flash, and then nothing. And everything calmed down.
Well, that's a lot to absorb now.
Yeah, you're telling me, my friend.
Now, the stone here, we can test it out. Depends on if you're particularly attached to the stone. But this does look like a sample of what has been recently been called ghost rock.
Hmm.
Knew it.
We can test it out real quick. That would be up to you. That is your possession. The testing that I know how to do it would destroy the sample, though.
Well, I
Now, if you
think
want to break off a little smaller chunk, I'd do
Yeah.
it too. Only need a little bit.
let me see what I can do to get a chip off of that, and I will try to, you have a hammer, sir?
Certainly. He gets up and returns about a minute later, and it's a standard dig and pick. A prospecting pick,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, handheld. I will give the sample a careful whack to try to get the smallest bit of sample off that can be researched.
Okay. You plink off again, it's a very small,
Mhm.
the sliver you have is maybe like that big or so. It's it's not a big chunk that popped off. And you break off, maybe something the size of a pea or so. And it didn't, outside of a plink noise, it really didn't make any peculiar noises or anything. And Mr. Elks leans over and he pulls out a monocle and looks at it real close. It's about the right color. Huh. All right. Well, he goes back into store and he comes back out with a mortar and pestle and puts the little chip in there and gives it a good grinding. You can see his arm muscles churn as he does it. It's relatively tough rock, but eventually you start hearing that sort of salty noise as it clearly is granulating and such. There's an outdoor fire pit with some coals and embers and such, and he reaches over and pulls out a gas lighter, which they actually had back then, and he lights it up, and flame comes there, and he kind of holds over the thing and kind of steps way back and kind of gives the mortar a shake to kind of the dust like now material kind of falls to the flame. Right as it hits the flame, a burst of flame that is significantly higher than you were expecting, and the flame is sort of it's yellow and orange, but it has a lot more stripings of blue in it than you were expecting. But this is it's sort of a kind of a thing, all from this little teeny little bit. And sure enough, as it burns, you hear, for lack of a better term, a moaning noise, a wail, a mournful wail. It's a disturbing sound. But he nods and says, "Yeah, that's ghost rock, all right. Powerful energy source, to be sure. I can understand why the railroads are starting to switch over to it. Makes that disturbing
that-
noise when it burns,
Noise
though.
would kind of be hard to deal with on a daily basis, I imagine.
Well, I know if I was an engineer in such a train, I'd have as much ear protection on as I could possibly have.
So,
Now, bits and pieces like this you could sell to tinkers and such. They use it for other purposes. Now,
I have heard tales of what you can do with this. I've never seen it used myself.
well, if I recall, you even got a delver in such machinations in Coldwater. Let me think. And he kind of. Oh, yeah. Gilmore is his name. So you might want to look him up when you get back to Coldwater. He'd probably be able to tell you a lot more about this than I can.
Right, what was the name again?
Gilmore. Gilmore. Now, insofar as the strange machinations of how this pit was dug, well, that too, I suppose, might be one of those new tinkered machines, perhaps.
Did the miners that came, because I'm guessing this is for what they came for, not to reopen the mine. Did they have any such machinations like that? Do you know?
I gotta admit, and I had a fair amount of contact with them. No, they would not have been an outfit. They were strictly picks and such like that. They didn't have the backing, certainly, that would have came with these new devices. Don't go cheap, and they didn't have like a team of horses to move such a device, etc., etc. So, no, I would not say this team would have had that device, but it's not beyond kin to think that such a I don't know what you call it, some sort of boring device certainly must exist somewhere. I would imagine, the Hellbrant, the Wichita train service. I mean, they're doing a lot of burrowing out west, going through the mountains trying to get out to the west coast. I bet they have some machines like that. Anyway, that's about my best guess there.
That is certainly intriguing, but if the miners didn't have it, it comes down to the question who did and who dug it and why. Although I suspect the why is the ghost rock.
Yeah.
And the fact that there weren't any tailings kind of lends it, because I imagine those devices, if it's big enough and born, probably has some sort of storage on it to pick that up, to haul it away, make it hauling it away a little bit easier.
For hell, the way you're describing the cut might have just pulverized it straight to dust, and you wouldn't even recognize that there were tailings.
That's a distinct possibility. Could be it's what's at the very bottom of that pit under all that unfortunateness.
Now, you say while you were hammering at the seam, this caused some sort of reaction in the mine.
Yeah. Now, so the wailing that I heard when I hit it and Vance hit it, did that match it when the type of noise that I remember when he burned it? Is it similar or different?
When you first clinked it off
Mhm.
from the primary seam, yeah, that had a very similar sound to when he just burned it. Yeah.
Isn't this
now
stuff dangerous?
Oh, well, if you mean poisonous, I don't believe so. Although I've heard that some people, if they stay extended times, in the presence of it. I heard that they start to go a little sour.
By sour, you mean mad?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but insofar as the burning of it that we just did here, or handling it on occasion, I have not heard of any detrimental results of that. I'm sure somebody must have looked into it. Don't encounter it enough here to be all that concerned about it, to be honest. Uh, Now, is this stuff dangerous in other ways? Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, obviously you could tell. It's a
It's, I
uh,
believe the phrase is highly energetic.
yes.
I've heard of weapons that can be powered by use it. Not to mention, I think if word gets out, this stuff is mighty valuable right now. It
Attract
could
the wrong sort of people.
precisely. Now I'm wondering with the creature, what Vance saw. My original thought is that there could be there's a link to the ghost rock to this, or it could just be as simple as that moaning. I think we all heard it. It was pretty loud. It could have just got its attention and wanted to get out. I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
Well, what's your overall thinking about the mine? What do y'all think should be done?
I don't rightly know. I want to keep a watch on it for right now while if my friends go back into town. But the fact that that creature that slew all the people back at work that we dispatched, I'm guessing that was the one that was responsible for putting up that placard that you examined. And you probably could tell me better than not was the reason why that whatever was seen didn't get out. And is that what it's trying to, for lack of a better term, protect? The creature number one did talk to me about it was trying to prevent something from happening, and that everything it did, while it was unfortunate, had to be done. Something about it was regrettable and necessary, and talked about the native soul. It seemed like it was trying to ward something. Now, our thought is that whatever's in that mine is dangerous. Common folk shouldn't be prodding the wrong, and because it's going to attract the wrong element.
I don't think anybody should be in there.
Right. So our thought was to, frankly, blow the mine entrance to smithereens so no one can get in. But none of us here have that sort of skill.
Well, when last I talked to Mr. Craven, about 8 years ago, he did incline that he wanted the mine closed up. Maybe not quite as permanently as blowing the entrance of it. For he did have at least some intention of coming back to explore, possibly re-exploiting whatever could be found in the mine. It has been 8 years, arguably speaking. Well, the reason why you boarded up is because if anybody goes into it after a year and starts working the mine, then that would be a claim jump, and whoever new has it or new work in the mine, the property rights and mineral rights and such would go to them. So I cannot recall. And we might want to ask around town, but I can't recall Mr. Craven having shown up. We could probably attempt to try to send out some word to him. I suppose with a proper mastery of demolitions, you could hopefully ensure that, well, let's just say just the front of the mine is properly obfuscated and made it so that, basically be impossible to get in without damaging the entire structure of the mine. And I mean, it is Mr. Craven's property. We don't want to necessarily annihilate it. I don't think there'd be a problem with that. We probably want to run it down to town council maybe this evening and make sure that seems appropriate. But I'd back that. Do you think you can get somebody with the appropriate skills and however much dynamite that might take? I mean, I could provide the dynamite.
I think we have enough.
Yeah, that is one of the things that my compatriots are planning on finding when they get back to Coldwater, is to find a person with that skill.
Well, certainly Coldwater, if not there, I'm sure you could hustle up somebody from Dodge. Certainly there's somebody in Dodge who knows how to do it. Speaking of that symbol, you mentioned that the braided hair, was it still on the symbol, or?
Yes, it was. It had just moved a little bit further down when it got knocked around. We didn't touch it because, one, I couldn't remember where it was. Two,
well, I did a little bit of further research on that for you. You're pretty safe if you were to go back up in there with an iron or a copper nail and pull that hair kind of behind the plate a bit more and maybe send a copper nail top of it so you clamp that hair better in there. Just don't disturb any of the etching itself. That outer plate, punch as many damn holes as you want, but don't mess with the actual
don't mess with the etching.
I finally got a name to associate that symbol with, if you're curious. I don't know if this will help, but it's known as the symbol of John D. And that's D with 2 E's.
Is there any backstory you can tell me on that, or just the name?
English lord, 16th century, evidently derived from some book. Don't know what the book's title was. A more mathematical derivant of another symbol, which evidently has a similar properties, but that older symbol evidently requires spells to use, and John D evidently does not.
I can admit that just went completely and utterly over my head.
I don't suppose he left behind any writings or books or anything like that.
The only notation I have as far as a book that you might want to try to find, say these are in my Brotherhood's notations, which alas I would not be allowed to permit to have you read, but for me to tell you certain information from them is not something that is totally disagreed with in our group. But it's derived from one of the great 6 books by Bishop Krieg. They are known as the Krieg books. Kreig.
Well, thank you very much for your information. I got my first issue. Is there a crew that can take care of the bodies up in the mine?
Well, I
Maybe
think
they're
I'm going
like-
to leave the decision of the extraction of the bodies to the good priest and father of our town here.
I will go talk to him myself. Then I won't bother. I won't bother you. Have you bother with that?
But I can offer this. I can offer myself and one or two other trusted fellas to make guard of the site up there.
I've been much appreciated. It would take some of the stress off myself and just off you.
Consider that done. I'll have one of my friends up there within the hour.
Thank you very much. I think our next stop is the priest.
Alrighty then. Y'all have yourselves a good day. I'm sure I'll talk to you before y'all head on out.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on. He goes back into the store, comes back out, and hands you a copper nail.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And actually, I was one of the ones I used to have you to thank for two of the shells that took care of that first creature. If you don't mind, I'd like to keep one of the shells, but this other one is rightfully yours, and I'll hand him one of the shells back.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to find out that, well, I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% sure they'd do a damn thing. But it appears as though they did. God willing, they'll be used again for his works again.
They seem to go right through the core of the issue. The shoe shots that I have went through a bag hanging around his neck, which had some fairly interesting things into it, which I'd be more than happy to tell you about if it is of interest to you.
Well, of course. If you think you'll be around this evening, perhaps you and Mr. Gustav would sit supper with me and my wife.
Absolutely. What time do you want us to meet, sir?
6 o'clock, I think, would do fine.
We will meet you at 6 then.
All righty.
Very well.
Much obliged.
And then we will make, as we're making our way to the priest, we will stop by the house that we were staying at and inform the nice lady that we will be continuing to stay in town if that isn't a bother.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Elks bids you two good afternoon, and you head over to Miss Pone's house, house of boarding, and inform her of continued stayings. She says, "Oh, all the rooms?"
Yes, actually, my compatriots will be coming back at some point. I will be more than happy to bear the cost of their rooms just so they have something that is available.
All
So
right.
at
It's
this
not
point, I
much.
want to tap Christopher on the shoulder and just pull him aside for a moment. Say, Christopher, maybe this is nothing, but you know me, I get a little funny when things don't feel right. And you see that wind chime hanging out in front of the window? Well,
Chris, when Gustav points out, you see a fairly nice wind chime, and it's literally just kind of like in Walt's picture there, if you can imagine in the background. It's just kind of hanging off of the front balcony. There's a little nail tacked into the upper, underneath in the ceiling. You do also notice that the ceiling of the porch is painted a light blue, and a little string and a little wind chime, just little metal doodads and glass and such, and it tinkles back and forth, ching 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 in the wind.
so Christopher, I always hated the damn things, to tell you the truth. I always thought they were silly. Never paid them much mind. But that there wind chime is the same one. I could swear it's the same one hanging outside of the boarding house, cold water. I don't know if that means anything. Maybe they just bought them from the same store, but I just got a feeling about it. Just wanted to tell you.
It's certainly interesting. The one thing, and especially in my line of work, is to always trust those gut instincts. They usually do not lead you astray. Keep an eye out.
All right, so we'll rejoin
Yeah.
the madam of the house.
Okay. This pundit doesn't have, she's hustling, so I can expect another 5 for dinner.
We are dining with the Elks family tonight, so no dinner tonight will be needed. I believe my compatriots will probably be gone for a couple of days, so you just need to worry about myself and Gustav here for the time being.
I'll make sure you all have fresh water and fresh linens for when you're ready to come in for the evening.
Much obliged.
All right.
Hey, just a quick aside. Is anyone else having your screen flicker? My screen keeps flickering and going black. I don't know if that's Zoom or what's going on here.
I think it must be you, because I'm not seeing any issues.
My computer.
No problems here.
Nope, I'm good.
Well, if I suddenly disconnect.
Don't blame the wind chimes.
That's right.
Yeah, probably. First things.
And so after that, I guess we'll make our way up to the priest.
Okay. Let's see here. You head to kind of the end of the town where the church is, and the church isn't particularly any different. It's standard church still.
Still.
Front door is open.
Public area. I'll walk in.
Okay, you walk in and you see a lady, and she's at the keyboard trying to make some noise. Nothing's happening, and she's, nope, still nothing. And you hear a more familiar voice, kind of muffled, say, well, how about now? No, still nothing. The familiar voice you're pretty sure you recall being the priest voice.
So the priest is trying to get her organ to work.
And the other way around.
Call out to the father.
Huh? And the lady looks at, oh, Father McMinnon, I think you have visitors. And you see the father get up and swipe the little bit of dust off of his knees, and oh, welcome. How have you all been faring?
Been faring pretty well. I've come to talk to you about some unfortunate business that needs to be taken care of the mine that's just outside this town. Do you have a moment, good father?
Certainly. Looks over. Cheryl, why don't you see if the books need straightening in my office? And she kind of looks quizzically, and oh, okay. Yes, I'll check on the books. And extracts herself from the main room of the church.
When she goes away. So now, unfortunately, Father, one of the things in our investigation that we discovered was the remains of the unfortunate miners that were working.
So you found them at least.
Unfortunately,
Most of them.
most of them, they had, to be blunt, Father, they did not die a good death. There was probably very unpleasant painful for all of them. But as it remains, is there is a need for their souls to be taken care of in a good Christian burial.
Well, of course, of course.
I was wondering if you had a crew or you had people who are accustomed to such tasks. I will tell you right now, I've seen the sights on a battlefield, and this is almost unlike anything that I've seen. It is going to take men, a stout constitution, to take care of this. Is this something that you can arrange?
Oh, I did see. I mean, there was like 15 in total of these. They're all there, or
They're all there, Father.
whew, that's a lot of work. But yes, of course. I could think of a few of the ranch hands and such that some of the older ones, not the youngins, but yes, some of the older ones. Yes, of course.
My only ask is that this be done with discretion. I think the last thing that the good folk of this town need to be concerned about
Excuse me.
is what happened at that mine. Keep that in mind. It only served to, I think, panic the faithful. I don't know if you've noticed that things have been tense in this town and they're finally coming to a heel. And I think it is in everyone's best interest that it remain that way.
As an aside, Walt, when you were telling your tale of the restoration and putting down of the great evil of the mine, and how you shot down the evil one with the help of your trusted sidekick, Carl and such, or of Chris and such. Did you mention in that tale the fate of the mining crew? Walt?
Oh, sorry. I was a little distracted. Fate of the mining crew. Did I tell whom?
Well, when you came back and you told the great tale of the putting down of the beast of the Craven mine, and
I don't see how I could avoid telling that. I mean, there's a lot of bodies, so I mean, I certainly didn't go out of my way not to say it. So, in the absence of having it in my mind to not talk about it, I probably had to mention it.
okay,
I would
well,
think.
in a way that's good, right? Because you've already
expected it.
yeah the setting will be expected, and to keep maybe the state of the bodies a little bit on the down low, but
I'm sure I didn't go into detail on that. No.
right, but it would be very difficult to cover up 15 new graves. It'd be difficult to be discreet about the multiple 2 or 3 wagon loads of remains to be interned, etc., etc. So that would have been a difficult ask of the priest. But since so now that I know what the story is, of course the priest has already heard the story retold, and so he goes, well, I think we could keep the crew that would be actually at the mine down to an extreme minimum, as long as I had a wider ranging amount of folk, maybe the younger hands and such. 15 graves for even just a couple guys that's a lot. Well, that's a lot of digging, especially in this soil.
That's right. We have money.
So, but we can do that. Yes, absolutely. I can arrange that, and we can get that probably started. By tomorrow morning.
That is fine. Both Gustav and I will go up with the crew to make sure everything is okay.
All right. Yeah. Let me start. Let me get a couple boys here to get running out to the local ranches, and we'll start getting people gathered up. And yeah, simple as that.
And as gratitude, I will donate. What's the usual grave go for?
Oh heavens. For a simplistic,
Yeah, nothing
No.
fancy.
um, the people who would do the typical digging, basically it'd be a dollar a grave to
Okay. I'll give the priest $15 to cover the graves.
All right. So he gets up and he starts heading.
Don't forget that expensive holy water and candles.
Um, and he starts heading into the town. He's headed towards the livery, and he's going to start sending out. In effect, he's going to send out runners to gather up some people. So, okay, good.
And I think the last thing I want to do is I want to find a nice, quiet bit of stretch of ground, and I want to put through some rounds through my rifle with the scope to get that sighted in. That's what I'll do with the rest of my day until we meet up for dinner.
Oh, good call. Okay. Gustav, what would you like to do for the rest of the hours?
Now, as a quick aside, does that count as practicing and I check it off?
Yes, but we don't have a decent way of marking practice checkoffs versus stress tech checkoffs.
And those are 50%.
Yeah. So any gains that you make off of practicing would be 1d4.
Yeah, I'll just make a note in my sheet that's a practice.
Yeah. Now, if it turns out before next up, you use it for, in combat in stress situations, then obviously that takes precedence over the practicing.
Actually, it's good you said that. I wanted to get a little bit of practice in with my rifle, which I haven't shot at all.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can give you some instruction there while I set
yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay. You could probably even head over to the saloon and probably pick up a whole bunch of
bottles.
Yeah, bottles and such like that. Or there's
Thanks.
there is a local trash pit, so you can pick up some. A lot of stuff you'd be surprised back then. A lot of stuff is recycled. Bottles, if they haven't been chipped up too bad, are typically brought back to the local distiller. If there's local guys doing any distillery work, they'll take any damn bottle. And cans, not reused so much back to recycled for cans, but they're often used for just other things. If you went to the livery right now, you'd find probably more than 3 or 4 dozen cans nailed up to the wall with just various bits and pieces of things and such. So a lot of stuff is reused, but ultimately speaking, cans start to rust out, bottles get chipped, and at that point they become garbage and usable at that point.
So for mine, when I transferred my character over to the Cthulhu sheet, because the rifle and shotgun are one skill, I have it about the same as my handgun. Basically, because I haven't actually fired the rifle yet, I need a narrative justification for why I have skill in it. So I need to spend a few hours practicing.
Sure.
Because it's hard to say, well, I'm as good with my rifle as I am with my pistol. I've never shot it. It's still in the wrapper.
Video games.
Yeah, so okay. You gather up some stuff and
try to find an area that is secluded enough that when the freaking townspeople hear this big 50 go off, they don't start panicking.
Right.
No ghost horses, preferably.
Yeah.
A little scouting around and such, but you find an appropriate area and you start doing some practicing.
Little high, little low.
Yeah. Let's see here. I am going to pause for just a second on this because I need to do a little bio. So I drank too much soda this morning.
Who's writing about? Oh, not that kind of bio.
So I'm going to hit pause here.
The hijinks.
All right, we're back. Okay, so you all are practicing your shootings.
Cultists.
Takes you about an hour to gather up your stuff and find an appropriate place, and you start plinking away. So Walt and Dr. Gabriel, one thing you noticed, relatively, actually, Doctor, you're riding, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on horseback, and Walt,
Is
you're
Lloyd. I got Lloyd next to me.
yeah.
Oh god.
He's proverbially riding shotgun right now. So, yeah, Walt and Doctor, give me a hard scan roll, please.
I think it just went up.
Oh yeah. I got 16. That should do it. Let me check that.
Okay, and Dr. Trout's he's riding. So, Walt, not too terribly long after Vance kind of blew by you all,
We see a fucking horse.
you see a freaking horse.
Your horse
Is
with
it a
you.
freaky
Vance.
abomination kind of horse?
A freaky abomination kind of horse.
Oh,
you know
he's
what?
like he went that way.
You know what? I'll go ahead. Is like the horse following Vance?
Well, I mean, it's going in
Does it
more or
turn
less
on
the same
past us?
direction.
But it moves on past us. It's not following
Yes.
us.
Correct.
Okay. I'll go when it gets when I see it. I'm gonna go like a ride a little closer to it, see what it does.
Okay.
It pays me no mind.
Breeze fire.
It does not seem to pay you any attention, but it is outpacing you significantly.
I am for you.
All right, so
kid.
I'll circle back to the wagon. Well, that was
I
unusual.
am for you, Vance.
Vance has got a cursed horse chasing him around.
Man, I'm glad that's not me.
I don't envy the man.
Yeah, I just see this like it went that way.
Vance, you pull into Coldwater.
Wow, that was quick.
Well, I mean, Carl and Gustav have been plinking now, and so it's.
I figured it was going to take me most of the day to get back.
Well, it did. It's now like 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say that I've almost finished sending you a text that said around lunchtime I was going to rest the horses and grab some tack myself and probably do a search to see if I saw the funky things. I think it's attracted to the bone that I'm carrying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want, sure. We'll.
But no, we can ride into town.
Okay. Yeah. You get. I assumed during
Move
that
the story
ride
forward.
you swapped your horses once.
Yeah.
And by the time you get in town, both horses are going to need, basically a full
Rest.
12-hour
Yeah.
rest, and you're going to need to drop them off at a livery and have them take care of the horses.
Exactly. That's what I figured I was going to do. Just pull into the livery and have the horses taken care of.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that's virtually your first stop. Then.
Did the sheriff ride back with me, or is he with the wagon?
Oh, he's pacing with the wagon.
Okay.
He doesn't have a secondary horse to swap.
So
I will try to keep a low profile then, so that people don't ask me, hey, how's the posse hunt going? Blah blah blah.
Right.
I'll let the good sheriff give the bad details.
Okay, so you pull into you're right into the Kern's crown livery, and they don't seem to take notice in particular insofar as, oh, you were one of the guys who left with the posse 3 days ago. And I assume you give them like $1 or whatever, and Yeah.
Please take care of these poor horses. I rode them hard.
All right. And they give you basically a little hand script kind of thing and hand it to you. And you are now in the cold water.
All right, I will mosey over to the saloon.
All right. I assume the jam.
Yep.
Okay. I'd say it's 4:30. Maybe 5 o'clock in that time frame.
Time to get something to eat and talk to the.
Now
swearing.
to get to the gem, you would, are you going the back way, kind of around back, or are you going down the thoroughfare?
I don't think many people would have known I was with the posse. I'm trying to think of. No, not too many people would have known.
I mean, you left very early in the morning,
Yeah.
and the posse was formed quite late at night. So unless word got around, insofar as, oh yeah, blankety blank and blankety blank, but you're
I better
fairly
take the back way.
okay. You're
just
gonna
in
take the
case.
back, sure.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if you still are carrying the map to Coldwater or not.
Oh yeah. I will bring that up right now. Let's see. Cold water. It's one of these right here.
Or I can share mine. It doesn't matter.
There it is. Cold water map.
So you know that 4 and 5 on the map is the Kern's
Library with the pens. Yep.
yeah. And
I
so
need to get to 12.
Yeah, so you're going to cut around. 10 is the gem.
Oh, what was 12?
12 is records, library, and Mayor Alexander's office.
Oh, okay. Thought it was 12. Oh no, yeah, because there's the roundabout from the front of the gym. Yep.
Yeah. So you kind of cut around back there and go up one of the boardwalks to get you to the entrance to the gem.
Yep.
No particular changes that you notice. There's a little bit of piano playing, a bit of early evening carousing, and you see some fellows playing poker and such like that. Maybe even one or two that you recognize. Certainly you recognize Billy is tending bar.
Ah, good. That's who I was hoping. I will go directly to the bar and nod to Billy and ask if
Just you?
I rode back quick.
Oh, okay.
The group is following up.
Fair enough. Anything interesting?
Oh boy.
Take that as a yes.
Yes, there was quite a lot of interest.
Expect you want to talk to Al.
Yeah.
All right.
If he's available.
He probably just woke up at this time of night. It's like 3 p.m. for him.
Billy kind of... What's my dumb dog doing? Okay. Billy kind of looks over and gives a quick whistle, attracting Dan's notice. Dan looks down, looks at Billy, kind of recognizes you. Dan was the one that handed you the map and such like that. You get the feeling that Dan's more of the direct right-hand man to Al than Billy. Billy's kind of in it, but not in it.
Billy's the front man that you have to talk to when you come in.
Right. So Dan comes down off the balcony down the steps and looks and kind of nods and says, "Hey."
Good. Rest of the crew's riding up. I figured I'd come back and give Al the rundown.
Right. Okay, sure. Yeah, head on up with me.
All right.
And climb back up the stairs. He heads over to office door and kind of gives the door a knock and ow. And one of them fellas you hired a couple days ago wants to have talks with you. And he kind of nods and clicks the door open. And
When he does that, I look at him and go, Vance Durango.
Vance, I knew it was something like that. I didn't want to embarrass myself. And you walk in, you see Al. He's just coming in off the balcony, chipped enamel coffee cup in hand. And you can tell that Al kind of looks past your shoulder briefly to Dan and he goes, kind of like that, sort of a dismissive, get the hell out of here thing. And he kind of bows slightly and directions with one hand to one of the chairs. It's almost always propped in front of his office desk. And says, well, I don't see any of your compatriots here, but I don't see you exactly dropping tears.
No, the rest of them are coming back. I rode ahead fast. 2 of them have stayed back in the nearby town because we're trying to arrange burial services.
Burial for anybody we know?
No, for the miners that were working that mine.
Well, hell then. This is a drinking situation then, I think. He pulls open a drawer, pulls out a bottle of whiskey, pulls up 2 shot glasses, pours off to the rim. He pops one down real quick, puts it down. So, you got a tale, Tommy?
You could say that I do. Did you know anybody that was on the posse that went out?
Well, certainly knew the sheriff, deputy. Offhand, you. Couple of your new people, knew Dr. Trout. He's been in town for a while. But well, I knew most of your friends. Be honest, don't really know who else the sheriff chose.
Well, then you won't miss them.
Ah. Huh.
They're coming back on the wagon. However, the gentleman that
on a wagon not of this earth, then.
Well, they're coming back here to be put in the earth here.
Right. Sad.
Start off the gentleman that committed the crimes in this here establishment. He has been dispatched.
Well, we've been mighty busy then.
Yes. Oddly enough, he was dispatched at the mine.
Huh. All right.
But
so
I will start the tale as it goes. And I'll regale the tale of how we started with the posse. The posse split. We followed tracks thanks to the sharp eye of Barnett. We rode into a town where we came across everyone in that town, a small town, where everyone in that small town was dead. Most likely killed by the same man that killed the Irishman and his desert flower. And then
takes note town that word, right?
Word, yep.
Yeah. Kind of takes a little note.
From there, we then went to the town itself. Barnett and Graff went to the mine to get an eye, while the rest of us ran into town to find out some information. Sure enough, some miners had come in to start doing some work there. They had been coming into the town for a while, but they hadn't been seen for 3 or 4 days.
So claim jumpers.
Yes, yes. They were coming in to be claim jumpers.
Can't stand that.
However, Gustav and Graf and Barnett found that they had all been killed, and the gentleman that we had been tracking was in the mine. And I'll regale them the story of, what we found in the pit. There were some things that came out of that pit. Things not of this earth. And we successfully were able to dispatch them. However, the miners, when they encountered them, were not so lucky, and that we were able to dispatch of the other gentleman, and then we pulled the bodies out.
So-
I won't tell them about the pouch or any of that type of thing, or I'll tell them that we're gonna extrude the bodies, fill the pit, make it look like nothing ever happened there.
So the miners were alive when you first showed?
No.
No.
When we first showed, they were already dead.
Gotcha. All right. You don't think... No. I mean, Craven was a wild creep, but he wouldn't have hired somebody to come in just to fuck with me and my establishment and then resettle his own claim. That's... No. Now, you said things, otherworldly things. Now, don't get me wrong. We have seen some very peculiar things happen since, well, the last 10 years or so. Hell, I'll be honest. Last night, one of my fellows would have sworn he saw one of his buddies who unfortunately got into a little bit of a kerfuffle and might have lost his mortal coil walking around last night. Lost his mortal coil 2 days ago.
Was he buried up in the cemetery?
I don't think he had time to get buried yet. So even strange things happening soon, but okay, let's be honest. We've heard the
Spider
rumors.
creatures like the size of cats.
Well, there's lots of critters the size of cats. But the way you're describing this, these aren't anything that you've particularly seen normally in the
passing.
wild. Alright, well. Be that as it may, those critters, whatever they might have been, of this world or some other, are now back in the dirt.
Yes.
All right.
They popped out
And
of the dirt like gophers and they melted back into the ground.
and the aggressor, whatever its nature might have been, has also been dispatched.
Yes. Including his head blown off.
All right. And
Not to put too fine a point on it.
you are making arrangements to make it look as though, in effect, the Craven Mine is back to whatever it might have looked like a year ago. All right. Well,
Because the main thing is making those bodies disappear. So they're being buried probably by. They're going to work with Barnett and Graff are going to work with local townsfolk to try to get the miners buried. And then from there, we'll try to get everything else kind of gussied up.
Well, hell, that's more than I originally asked for. Well, I gotta admit, if you came back telling me that there were clean jumpers there, I would have asked you all to head back out there again anyway and, well, equalize the situation. But seems like our work's been done for us already. Fuck that Hearst.
Otis. Sorry.
So, do you know who hired those boys to those miners to go out there?
Well, as I say, I suspect George Hearst did. He's been making a lot of moves on some claims, old claims. So that is my suspect. Could be new players in town. Lord knows there's enough of them. Could be one of the big rail barons. Although most of the work around these areas, pretty much most of the work is Dodge and West. All the work's largely done here, except for one of the lines down south, but... So I doubt it's any of the big... I mean, those wars are moving on further west now, so... Don't rightly think that it's any of them. So... I still think it's George. We're going to have to put out some additional feelers for that, though. All right, well... Are you authorized to take payments?
Yes.
Fair enough. Dan! Dan comes creaking open the door. This gentleman and his compatriots' money promised, the second half of their fee. Dan kind of looks, just for him? And his compatriots, you fool. Dan disappears back behind the door again. And a few minutes later, he comes back with additional money.
Is there anything else that you would like us to look into?
Well, I assume that there's going to be some costs insofar as cleaning up the Craven mine, making it all look, well, not spiffy new. Making it look nice and old.
Yeah.
Nice and forgotten. So we're going to have to settle up on that. I prefer a bill, if you don't mind.
All right.
Short of that, as I said, I was expecting the town or the inspection and finding out what was going on at the mine was going to result in a several branching situation insofar as what might be needed to be done. However, it sounds like conclusions have already been attended to.
One of the things we're thinking about is the mine originally was boarded up, but we're thinking about just blowing the front end of it and obfuscating the mine itself. So it could be reopened later if need be, but just as an extra precaution to keep folks out of it. Would you know of anyone in town that would have the expertise on how to do something like that?
Let me think about that. You know, there is one. Well, yeah. Bit west of here. Got the Providence mine. Yeah. Old Bill Graves and Matt Brady run it. Now, they're a little bit soft on the head now, to be honest, but damn good miners, and they're hard rock miners.
So
They know how to blast. I can send word to see if one of them will come into town tonight. How's that sound?
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. Either
Well,
that.
your compatriots are not going to be back in town tonight. So if we want this to be a party
Oh.
discussion, you might not want to race ahead.
Yes, Steve and I have been kind of like, that's how it is. We've just been kind of out of the whole game. So it'd be great if we could get interjected in the end.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
Do you want to alter that to say a tomorrow morning meeting?
Yeah, tomorrow morning would be fine. I'm more interested in probably getting something to eat and then getting some rest.
You do look a little schwitzed. At this point, Dan does come back in, and how much were you paid originally? Was it like $100 in gold each, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It was $623.11.
$1 million.
Platinum.
Mighty generous.
I thought we only got paid, what was it, 50 each at the get-go?
Yeah, it was 100 total, 50 at the start.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So 5 bags, true gold, not script, nothing like that. Containing what you would assume to be $50 in gold. Probably want to weigh it to double check, but you probably don't want to weigh it straight in front of Al.
No.
But I'll tell you that it is true weight. So, and on top of that, as I say, in effect, maintain a script with a bill for any costs that hiring miners to come do any blasting, blah blah blah, and you'll be reimbursed probably plus some for that as well. But yeah, you're looking schwitzed. You've been just handed $250 in gold. He says, well, I guess tomorrow I'll open up a can of peaches for you.
Right, Al. Well, you have a good night. I hope it's quiet.
I don't. When it's quiet, I don't make money.
Oh. Hope it's not like the night before we left.
That kind of quiet.
Yes.
That kind of quiet I'll take. And he
And
picks up
I
his
will-
coffee and turns his back on you as a sign
I
of
will head
trust.
out and go back to the boarding house.
Okay, and you were staying at which one? There was 2 boarding houses. I think some of y'all were at one. Some of y'all were at the
Isn't it
different
35?
one. 34 is May's
34.
boarding.
Okay, yeah. 34.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And okay. And I guess you head there, wash up, probably a decent bath. I don't know if you.
Definitely a bath.
Yeah. I mean that kind of riding is exhausting riding.
Yeah.
So you're probably want to take a snooze or something as well, for that matter.
Yeah.
Get
back, take a bath, get something to eat. Figure, hopefully I'm there for dinner time.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And
Maybe.
then get some sleep.
Fair enough. Okay. The practice shooting goes well. Chris and Gustav, did you have any other plans for the evening in particular, or
Other than dinner, but I'd say let Walt and Gabriel
Sure.
do their thing.
It's
It's getting late too, so
Yeah.
right? Okay, Walt and Dr. Gabriel. You finally head into town. Thankfully, nothing particularly strange happens on the way.
Besides the demon horse looking for his master.
We've got the sheriff, Lloyd,
Goddamn horse.
2 of us.
And yeah, the sheriff and Lloyd is with y'all as well.
We will We will head the wagon right towards the Undertaker's.
Right. Okay. Absolutely makes sense. At this point, it's dark outside. A good chunk of the gas lanterns on the main thoroughfare are lit, but that's about it. The saloons and such is still active. But it's Thursday evening, I believe. Sounds more or less right.
Yeah, sounds about right.
One day I'll actually look up the calendar of 1876 and get all the days exactly right, but it doesn't matter right now. And you in effect pull into the Undertaker's from the back or from the front?
Back.
Back's probably would be
We
good.
want to be discreet. In fact, thinking back on it, we probably should have given these fellers some sort of role in the public story about how they heroically went into the mine to confront the guy and it collapsed, or there was a fire, and something like that.
I'll spin a nice story tomorrow. So he's what,
Right.
building 16?
Hmm?
Was he 15 or 16? The Undertaker.
No, it's right next to my office, so
Oh,
I'm close to my bed right now.
it's true. The Undertaker is location or plot 15.
Plot.
The doctor's office is right next door, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And
I'm looking at the map. I'm not really seeing a good, easy way to bring a horse in, unless I guess we go out by the cemetery and work our way back.
yeah, that would be the way you go it.
Well, I mean, I guess that's how we'll have to do it then, because we don't want to be like, hey, whole lot of townsfolk,
Dead and possibly your friends.
and some of them are burned. I don't know how.
Yeah. The sheriff kind of takes lead insofar as knocking on Mr. Palmer's door, and you do hear
A fucking
It's
piano.
creepy.
yeah,
Pardon,
make a both you and Dr. Trout make a listen roll.
I mentioned how tired I am.
All right, I should be good at this. You're really good at this. Unfortunately, I'm very tired.
Okay, fair enough. When you're tired, you're tired.
I have a friggin' 60. I rolled an 80. So it's like, dude, all I can hear the coconuts.
I did an extra hard fail. I quadrupled the number I needed.
See, can the Gibson brothers make a roll? No, they can't.
So,
We're like the comic relief.
Mr. Palmer answers the door, still wearing his top hat. He seems to wear that kind of when he's relaxing or on duty, as it were. And they exchange brief word and sort of slow nodding from Mr. Palmer, pretty much. Sheriff comes back and says, "Okay. Unfortunately, it's been a long day. We're gonna have to take care of a lot of the announcements, I guess, tomorrow morning. You guys don't, of course. But if you know anybody who wants to be a deputy, I'm gonna need another deputy. But
I would imagine that should there be a need for some extra help, our group is our fans of Law and Order, so the television show, obviously.
SV.
But certainly, if there's something the town needs, and you need a little extra muscle, you know who you can turn to.
Well, I do appreciate that. Well, Mr. Palmer says that he can handle. Well,
It'll be a busy night for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night for
Are
him.
the bodies, I didn't. I mean, so Marshall, were the bodies recognizable still, or were there? We didn't sorry, the incident didn't cause them to get burned in a way that that they're can't be identified.
Right. Yeah. They're well enough known, and either through basic recognition or
Personal effects.
personal
blind
effects and
exam.
such like that. Everybody was been he was able to, between him and Lloyd, everybody was able to identify.
There will not be an open casket for any of these boys.
No. Lloyd hops off the horse, by the way, and says, "I'm going home."
I'm gonna sleep with my wife.
Doc, I might come in tomorrow and maybe ask for some sort of something or other to help with some of this pain. But
Why don't
tonight,
why don't you hold on 1 second? My office is ready.
Problem.
I'll get you something.
Kind of suppository slash
I'll
emetic.
go in there and I'll give him a nice bracing shot of something and some powder, aspirin or whatever.
right? Okay, all right.
Something.
Just something to maybe help him kind of
Oh yeah, of course.
get some decent sleep for a while and such, because
Alright.
he needs it. Matter of fact, if you want to do a medicine roll, maybe get him back a couple of his hit points.
Just a success, not anything special, because
No,
I'm
it's
so tired.
okay. He walks out with a little bit more of a, well, I don't want to say spring in his step, but
Fresh bandages,
yeah, fresh bandages. He's looking a little better.
a minor buzz from the opiate I gave him.
Right. And thanks, Doc. I'll swing by tomorrow and see how you guys are doing.
You take care of yourself, Lloyd. Get some rest.
All right, so we're
And he
pulled
heads
around.
off.
We're pulled around the back. Lloyd took off. Did the sheriff take off too?
He's really just kind of sitting down.
We're probably talking on my porch or the doctor's.
Yeah, clearly a little bit tired, but yeah, it's kind of moved to the porch.
Well, I will bring out a flask of something because it's been a
Well,
long
that's true.
and a cigar.
Mr. Palmer walks from around the building up to you all, and he looks at Dr. Trout and says, "Doctor, while you all were away, this letter came in for you. It was,
More money.
from what I understand, marked with some urgency."
Well, thank you very much,
And he,
Palmer. I don't envy you your work this evening, but
oh, hold on here.
I'm giving him the fisheye.
obviously this is the this is not the you're in the line of work where it's not particularly good to be busy.
Well, it's not good for anybody else.
Truer words were never spoken.
Would you like a drink, Mr. Palmer?
Hold on.
He drinks formaldehyde.
Cigar, drink.
Trying to figure out if the dead drink.
Along with this letter is a box about the size of a cigar box. Mr. Palmer goes, "No, I have a bit too much work to do for drinking.
What's in the box?
It will be a long evening."
Is he going to be able to offload the bodies by himself, or has he got an assistant, or the gravedigger? Is he going to get the gravedigger out to help?
You don't know.
All right. Well,
He says he's got a handle.
well, screw him then.
I already handled those bodies once.
All right. As far as I'm concerned, I dropped off the wagon at the back
Yep.
of his, and I'm done.
Yep.
I'm off duty. Like
Absolutely.
my taxi cab thing is off.
Correct.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna hand you a cigar and a small flask of something. Get some rest. We'll see you in the morning. Late morning.
Right.
Actually, before I go to bed. So what is it? Probably about midnight or so. It's not.
Yeah,
terrible.
they're about. Yep.
Yeah, actually, I think before I go to bed, I'm gonna swing by the Mr. Swearingen's establishment a little bit and just see what I can see.
Okay. Um,
I should be welcome there.
okay. You pick yourself up and head on up to the gem. The sheriff says, "Well, Dr. Trout, I hope the letter doesn't bring you any particular bad news. Do you wish me to stay, or do you mind if I?"
This is sheriff, or
Yeah.
oh no, that's fine, sheriff. It's been a long day. It's been a long couple days, and you've got an unenviable task tomorrow. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Thank you, Dr. Trout. I will make sure that your posse fees are paid shortly. And he heads on down the boardwalk.
I'm gonna sit.
I'll make sure your money's paid out while he's fanning himself with $10 bills. Oh,
I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna sit in my rocking chair out on the porch with my feet up on the railing, and a cigar and a stiff bottle and a glass, and I'm gonna read this letter and just relax for about an hour.
Okay, fair enough.
And listen to the sounds of the night and freaking hopeful quiet and no women.
Walt, you head on down the boardwalk, and you get to the gem.
Okay.
It is quite late, even for the gem, relatively speaking. But lights are still on. Lights are always on in the gem. And you see a bartender. You're not sure who the bartender is. You don't recognize. But it's open. There's a couple people having drinks. You can hear a bit of noise coming up from the upstairs chambers.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
Well, so Vance, you went right. You took off, so we didn't get like an update from you. As far as we know, the last time we saw you came into town, you're probably asleep and your demon horse is looking for a way into your room. So since I don't know that the story's been told, I'm gonna walk in and see if I can see. I probably don't see Al, but do I see Dan, his right-hand man, anywhere?
Looking about. No, I gotta switch pages here real quick. You do see. As you see a bartender. You're not really off top of your head the bartender's name, but he's kind of looking at you, kind of squinting, kind of going. So you notice that he has a visual recognition of you.
Okay, I'll walk up to the bar and say, "Is Walt Larrabee just came back from Aetna? Perhaps one of my colleagues, Vance Durango, came in a couple hours ago. I hope."
Yeah, Billy was telling me about that. Yeah.
What did he tell you?
Well, not too much, but went up to talk to Al. Came back down and pretty much headed straight out the door. Don't know where your buddy Vance went.
Well, it's pretty late, so hey, it's not too late for a drink. What do you say?
We're always serving.
I will whatever. Give me some of your better whiskey, and I'll pay for it and say, and if Dan's about, I'd appreciate it. Wouldn't mind having a word with him.
Yeah. He pours you off a drink, pops it onto the bar, and goes kind of down a hallway off of the ass end of the saloon, not upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And 30 seconds later comes back, and maybe another minute or so, you see Dan coming out, just zipping up his trousers, and
Drying off his hands because he just washed with soap and water and everything.
Of course, like everybody does. And looks and says, "Ah, Mr. Larrabee, right?
That's me, Dan.
Oh,
Well, we're back. Did my colleague? I understand he already stepped in and talked to Al.
oh yeah, they did. Got your payments. So you're gonna want to go talk to Vance about that.
Very good. So, do you know what we brought back with us?
Well,
Did Al share? Maybe motion him to talk a little privately.
yeah. And he kind of leans back, kind of up. He didn't quite finish getting out the hallway, so he kind of. So he tells me, that all the miners that were jumping the claim, they didn't make it,
That's correct.
and unfortunately, it
So we
sounds
didn't
like
bring them.
we lost some of our good town members here in Coldwater as well. Some of the ones that the sheriff brought in as a posse.
Yep, the deputy and a couple of his boys all met their end, but we did bring them back and we just dropped them off for the Undertaker. So it's gonna be a long night for him. Though I don't like the look of him anyway. Just between you and me. Don't like Undertakers.
Well, nobody likes facing the person that's going to help them to their next, to next
Whatever
position in life, whatever comes.
Whatever comes after. I'm trying to strike up a little rapport with Dan.
Sure, but I'll tell you, it's better than being taken to woos, right?
Yeah, that's then your next. Yeah, I mean I've only heard stories, but I heard you don't family don't come pay their respects.
Ain't nothing left.
Yeah, and then people eat them pig. Oh yeah, I'll try not to think about that.
Yeah.
Dan, can I buy you a drink?
I
I'm pretty tired, but I just feel a little not quite ready to toddle off yet. Maybe I could fill in some blanks that Al didn't tell you about. If you had any questions for me.
Sure. He goes over to the bar, and Johnny looks up, and Dan says, "Could you pop us open give us a bottle there, Johnny?" And grabs two shot glasses, and says, "What do you prefer, table or bar?"
Table.
Picks out a table kind of nestled in the corner, kind of like where the stairs go up, but still providing a good line of sight out to the front of to the entrance to the gym. And I suppose, do you have anything specific you want to talk about with him, or are you just kind of building a groundwork kind of
I'm
thing?
trying to build. I kind of want to build a rapport with him in the sense that if anything, I don't know what Al's told him. I know Vance has already been here, so I just kind of want to let on that if there's any gaps or anything he's curious about, he can ask me, and I'd be able to fill in some blanks if he's interested. I don't know him well enough to know if he might just be whatever you say, Al, and not have any imagination. I just was thinking that he might be a little more independent, and I could kind of work him up as an ally.
Well, let's see. How about let's start with well, I think it would be part of a persuasion, right? Just a general.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Just a normal success.
Okay. So you kind of, in sort of a light way, retell the tale of the tracking of the down and blah blah blah, and so he goes, and he occasionally interrupts you with kind of, so this guy that attacked here, he's also the one that managed to kill all these other people without until the very end, until you guys
Well,
volleyed him down.
well, when I say I shot him a few times, he didn't seem to care. But luckily, Carl Gunhand, Christopher Gunhand Barnett, sack shooter, you might say, dropped him where he stood, and I was facing off with him. So I'm pretty happy because for whatever I was shooting, he didn't seem to care. And his horse or his horses that he rode were kind of not natural, if you know what I mean. No horse should be able to ride that hard without dying. And he was a real stone cold killer. I mean, like not of this world kind of killer. If you kind of catch my drift, it took all of us to take him down, and he would have he wiped out the other posse and all the people, everybody in work, like
Huh.
including children.
So he grills you a little bit more on the concept of when you say, you know, unworldly. He starts pulling up a couple kind of examples of, you know, he starts off with unworldly as like, when you say unworldly, do you mean like, you know, and he'll pull up like rare animal examples, whatever, you know,
No.
and I assume you go, no, nothing like
I
that.
mean unnatural.
So eventually he starts talking, and it seems like it's almost a, you know, he's a couple shots into it at this point, and he's kind of blending a couple stories, if you will. He certainly mentions that quote unquote one of his boys, and you don't get the impression it was offspring, but one of his boys saw a person who is almost for surely known to have truly have died. Now, again, we didn't have a doctor in the town, but Mr. Palmer definitely certified this person is absolutely dead. And you know, from the way that Dan was described as of the wounds, certainly should be dead. But evidently got back up, and you know, nobody knows the whereabouts of, Dan says, the corpse. I don't think this was done back then, but the equivalent of this.
Kind of like the corpse.
Right, yeah. So, and then he starts to you know, also describe, and again, this clearly from what you're hearing, this is like second or third hand information, right?
Yep.
Stranger creatures, like abnormally large scorpions, and when I say abnormally large, like 3 or 4 feet of scorpion.
Well, that's a hard nope for me. I hate scorpions.
Or creatures that I hate to say the Sarlacc from Star Wars, but in effect, Deadlands and even down Darker Trails have something that's very similar, sort of a sand trap. You know, we call the spiders that dig the hole that have the little
spiders.
Trapdoor spiders. Okay, so something along those lines, but again on a significantly larger scale, that have shown up within recent memory. Something that, you know, in his childhood he didn't have such tales told to him, but as a man, other men coming to him and saying, you know, 2 weeks ago one of his buddies was, you know, walking in the desert and, or, you know, out in a plane and literally just fell into, you know, a trap and saw a tentacle or two and a big burp and the guy is gone. You know, something that, you know.
Was he wearing Mandalorian armor? 'Cause he
Oh,
might be back.
well, that's true.
Well, yeah. So I'll mention what happened during the war, out east in Gettysburg. So, like I said, I mean, mainly, I'm not really trying to grill any information from him. I'm really trying to set him up as a basically on the way to being a friend. I can't quite tell what you're holding up.
It's Mandalorian season 1 and Mandalorian
Ah.
season 2.
Well, if you really want to impress me, you'd show me your 3D printed Mandalorian handgun.
Spoken.
Where's your It's a modified Bergman 1906 pistol or something like that. I saw that.
So anyway, he continues to describe just some oddities that he's been saying, and I guess he kind of sums it up and is like, but the guy you're talking about, how much of a description do you give? Not so much the final form after the critter had been shot in the bag, but right before it.
You mean like the darkness, the inexplicable darkness?
Yeah, the inexplicable darkness. And you saw it briefly. This sort of 8-9 foot tall creature with blades for arms.
Well, yeah, I think I'll kind of, without going into too much, I'll mention that it was dark in the cave, but in the mine, but it seemed unnaturally dark. And then I'll also say that if you recall, one of the victims in town was sliced up like horrifically, and then I'll kind of imply that he was packing that kind of weapon, and that saw a lot of use in Wirt. So as far as we could tell, he didn't have any firearms and he didn't need any firearms. And I'll kind of drop it at that, just sort of ominous things about how deadly he is and how good it is that we killed him. That's basically what I'm going to get at. I don't, I'm exhausted. It's been a long day, but basically I'm trying to get him to to trust me. So if I need a favor or he needs a favor, he can come to me. Or if we need to get information that maybe Al doesn't want to share, maybe he could give us a hint. So that's basically, I mean,
okay. By the
that's
time you're
basically what I'm
done
trying to do.
You got through maybe a third to half of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for
I'm
you,
probably feeling it too. I'm probably like, oh,
for you and for Dan, back then people drank a lot more, so your tolerance is significantly higher. But by the time it's talking, say it's starting to get like 1 o'clock in the morning, that kind of thing. You conclude your discussion with him, feeling very confident that you have made significant inroads with Dan, to the point where you can go ahead and note it on your character sheet that you have a confidant with Dan Lattimore.
Alrighty, I will note that, and I will say I'll just list him as a treasured possession or a strange entity. I'll call him a strange entity, just on.
And he just tells you thank you for being a friend.
All right. Well, just so Steve can figure out, Dr. Trout can figure out what his letter says and what was in his cigar-sized box. At that point, I'll pretty much just kind of tip my hat to Dan and say it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to doing it again, and say I'm going to bed. It's been a long couple of days.
Okay, sounds good. Dr.
And I'll
Trout,
go back. We're in the boarding house, right? As I recall, or was it the other?
You're
not
in
this one.
You're in.
Are we the Bella Union, or is it in the? I can't remember the other one.
No, some of y'all were staying at the Coldwater Cafe and Boarding House. That would be plot number 28. Some other folks were in May's boarding, which is plot 34. I recall Gustav was at May's.
Then I was
believe-
next to him, so I guess that's where I am.
So Walt, you must have been there, and I believe Vance, you were there.
Yeah.
Doctor, you've got your own places now, so you know.
Yeah, he's
Um,
living.
uh,
He's living on the
Chris, I think you were at the Coldwater.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Doctor, is there anything you want to action upon, or have you enjoyed your cigar and deciding to nod off, or?
Well, I realized that probably after about 5 minutes of sitting out on the porch, I realized that one of my phobias is that I don't like to be alone in the dark. So all of a sudden, my sense of relaxation dissipates pretty quickly after everyone leaves. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go inside.
Huh.
I'm gonna go inside and turn on the lights, and I'm gonna try out this thing. Does it do what I think it does?
Yes, it does. Exactly what you think it does.
All right, and yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I would imagine I'm gonna have a bunch of old ladies with gout coming in tomorrow.
You're gonna have a lineup.
The roids.
You know what?
The
Before I go to
parade of
sleep,
roids.
I'm gonna tack up something to the door. Say the doctor will not be seeing any patients till afternoon.
If
Okay.
you don't
No,
like
I
it,
mean,
suck
you
it.
have a one of those things with the little hour and minute kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can definitely set that, and I would imagine it's something of a assumed undertaking where if it's an emergency, people just come directly in. Oh, little Billy Joe has just had both of his legs ran over by,
I'm sorry, little Billy Joe's gonna die.
not seeing
Need my
him until
rest.
12:01. Don't care how much he's bleeding.
This is probably
Spray some Windex on
quite
that.
the
I'm
stuff.
busy.
It's like 9:55.
Duct tape. All right, so Steve, I guess you
Yeah, I'm all
looked
done
at
for
your
the night.
letter. I guess you've offline looked at your letter, whatever's in that box, and I guess we can find out if you decide to tell us next week. Is that how it's going to work out?
I think that's how that's going to go.
I have secrets.
Um,
Secrets.
You have piles.
let's see here. So, right. So Kip, you went to bed, more or less, right? Kip, give me a hold on.
Constitution check for poison strength 20.
Give me an idea roll. Hard, please.
21. I might think that does it.
21.
Double check.
Was it 21 or 41?
21.
21. 21. Oh yeah, you're good.
Got to find my character. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that demon horse.
Go into bed, you just find its head in the.
Okay.
Point being is you've noticed it now. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, so Gustav and Carl, real quick. So you did your shooting. You've marked off the things. You
Yep.
rifed through some bullets and ammo. Relatively speaking, for the amount of money that you've been paid recently, still a negligible cost. The priest finds you all. Not too hard to find you all because you're making lots of gunshot noises. And notifies you that he sent out some runners earlier the day, as promised, and they've come back, and indeed, some hands will be starting to tend to the tasks at hand at dawn tomorrow morning. So
Thank you, Father.
the wheels are rolling on that. I assume after you're done with that, It was, kind of midday, latish midday. 6 o'clock comes up, meal with Mr. Elks and family. Is there anything specific that you want to bring up, or just a
Just
pleasant meal?
a pleasant meal. Talk about, I'm not sure how much he wants his family involved with some of the discussion involving
Perhaps not dinner
the
conversation.
dinner. So possibly, after the women folk and children go off to bed, when we have a bourbon by the fire, we'll talk about the contents of the bag.
Okay. Why don't we set that as the pin marker for starting
Yeah.
on next Tuesday? So,
All right.
conversation about the bags and whatever else specific you want to reveal to Mr. Elks, and whatever else he might have thought of in the meantime. But otherwise, as far as Aetna goes, you're starting to feel fairly confident that the only thing that you all don't have necessarily in hand information wise is whether the appropriate demolition guy can be found.
Yeah.
But otherwise than that, you're feeling pretty confident that there's sufficient labor to get this done, get it wrapped up in, once the demolition guy shows up, you probably get wrapped up within 24 hours after that and be like, okay, we are done and out of here. And everybody else in Coldwater, I think you've got, whatever your thoughts are for the morning. Sound good?
Sound good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right, excellent.